Welcome back, everybody, to This Is My Bourbon Podcast. I am your host, Perry, and I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for being back here with me. I've got Rick and Ricky Johnson from 15 Stars on here in just a little bit. It's episode 401. Holy moly. We crossed that threshold. We are here officially into a completely new era of the podcast, I feel like. I mean, I feel like that's the case. I don't know how you feel about it. You could just be listening for the first time. You could be listening as maybe the longest time listener of the show. If you've listened since 2017 when the show first started and you're still here, please let me know, because I don't even remember at this point who has been around since then. Because I know that people have been around for a very long time. I consider them, the long-term community members of the show. But there's some folks that have come and gone, and then come back, and then left again, and that's fine. I understand. You got to do what you got to do, but regardless, entering into the back half of, we're definitely well into the back half of 2025. And as we, mosey into the beginning of 2026, things are shaping. Things are shaping. I don't know in what capacity, but they are. We'll find out together. But we normally kick off episodes with a segment known as Flying Blind. This segment, it used to be how I would blind co-hosts of the show with a pour of something, because I wanted them to get warmed up with a, just something I wanted them to try, or a sample or whatnot. Sometimes I'll have a sample myself, or it'll be things that I have never tried before, or things that I have had in the past and I have forgotten about and want to refamiliarize myself with. What has happened tonight, though, is that I was going through a box that I didn't even realize was in my office, which... this is not if you're watching the video version, this is not just a rented space. This is actually in my basement of my house. This is my office where I work out of, and I record the podcast, and I normally operate out of on a normal basis. Yes, it is a little bit messy. I apologize, but I have 2 small children and a regular 9-to-5 that pays the bills. I don't have a lot of time to do anything else to make it look any better than it does at the moment. You can see my guitars over here, though. There's a Telecaster, there's an acoustic, there's a couple. Well, I mean, there's a Strat and a Silver Sky, if you're watching on the video version. But also, there's Snuffleupagus. There's the professor from not Mystery Files. What is it? Puppet History from Watcher. This is too much for anybody who's just listening to the audio version. But anyway, I was going through a box, and I found a box within the box that just had random samples in it of stuff that clearly has never been opened before. And I literally don't know what's in here. I have never... There is one. This is wrapped in bubble wrap. And, I mean, this is going to be the first one that I open. And I'm just going to find out literally whatever is in here. It could be the most peated scotch ever, and I will pour it. But whatever is in here, I am going to drink. Okay, well, it's Hidden Barn, but it's at least a single barrel. Dadgummit. Who sent me this? Okay, there's another one that's wrapped in the exact same manner. It's in this like brown paper, and I just don't know. I will do both of these. It's a different Hidden Barn sample. This one's 114 proof. The first one was 109. This one's 114. I mean, come on, dog. Why have I had these for so long and I'm not like, I don't even remember anybody sending these to me and being like, you got to try these. This is the best version of Hidden Barn. Let's start with this 109 proof sample. And yes, we are going to do both of these one by one. No, we're not. I changed my mind. I'm trying to position myself just so I can get where I can, feel good about what I'm about to do. I don't know if there's anything I can do that's going to make me feel and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I have not had amazing experiences with Hidden Barn in the past. But right hand, the 114. Left hand, the 109. Here we go. The 109 smells like, well, the 109 smells like a fried Oreo. The 114 smells like okay, this is way too specific. But the Pillsbury cookies that you get around the holidays. Of course, we're like in spooky season. So we get the Halloween cookies right now. So you probably have some of those, but you can also get them during like Christmas. They probably have. Oh no, they have like Thanksgiving. They might have Easter too. I don't even know. But those like soft baked cookies, it smells like that, except there's a bit of like chemicaliness in it and definitely burnt. Oh, that's bad. Okay, let's try the 109 first. Let's try the 114. Hey, what else is in here? Come on. Come on. Come on. Nope. Wow, this is a whole blind. Dude. Okay, here we go. High West Double Rye Syrah finished 102.2 proof. I think this came from Patrick Starkey and his wife, Heather. If I'm not mistaken, because it's got the label that they used to use, but okay. Color's kind of nice. Oh, it smells like a really good rye. Syrah finished. Okay, so anybody who doesn't know, if you're just stuck in whiskey world, kind of sounds like a really nice place. A Syrah is a type of wine. So this is a wine finished rye whiskey at 102.2 proof. It is present, but it is not overpowering by any means. Okay. Taking a sip of that feels like I have been I've been parched in the desert for 40 days and I'm finally getting water for the first time in way too long. I mean, that is even a finished rye, I mean, which is not my first choice, but is definitely way more welcome than way more welcome than either of the two Hidden Barn picks that I just had. I mean, these are from who knows how long ago. I don't. Oh, I know. I think I know who picked these. I'm not gonna cut it out. I'm sorry. I wasn't. I did all this blind. I wasn't ready for it. Sorry. It is what it is. Anyway, let's move on to what I've been drinking recently, which has not been particularly crazy. Last week on the Patreon, though, I did open the new Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, the C925. I have gone back to it a few times. It is the lowest age statement of any Elijah Craig Barrel Proof ever. If you do remember, within the past couple of years, they did say that they were going to drop the 12-year age statement, but say that it was always going to be age stated. And this is no different, of course. In the past, they've had 13-year-old bourbons. They have had 12 years still, but they've also most frequently had 10 or 11-year-old age-stated bourbons in the most recent releases over the past couple of years. And this newest release is 9 years old. It is at 129 proof. And I feel like there is not an insignificant chance that there is quite a bit of older whiskey in there, even if there is a good chunk of 9 or 10-year-old barrels. I mean, of course, we know that there is at least 9-year, and I think it's like 9.5-year-old bourbon that's in there. But even if it is, 9 or 10-year-old bourbon at the bulk, there does seem to be a fair amount of 14 or 15-year-old bourbon in there that is helping to elevate the younger whiskey to balance it out and make it feel more like older batches that, it at least, gives it a chance to survive. I don't know what my favorite batch is yet. I will be doing either an episode or a live stream soon where I taste all of the releases of this year's Elijah Craig barrel proofs and all of this year's releases of the Larceny barrel proofs. So if you want to watch the live streams, you can head to youtube.com/This Is My Bourbon Podcast or twitch.tv/MyBourbonPod. Either way, though, and I mean, if it's an episode, you can just hang here, of course. But regardless, I kind of turned around on that Elijah Craig barrel proof on multiple tastings, and I was pretty surprised by it. I'm not gonna lie. And I also the other day, well, I guess that was just yesterday as of recording, I went to a surprise party for my wife's grandmother's 90th birthday, and I just got Bullet bourbon, just the regular 90 proof, like the non-age stated. I don't know if they are using their own distillate at this point or if they are still sourcing from anywhere, but I don't even... I mean, it was solid enough to where I had a couple pours, but it's one of those, like, I wouldn't be upset if somebody brought it out necessarily, but I also am not ever going, I need to go to Liquor Barn or Total Wine or, for those up north, Benny's or whatever, and grab a bottle of it to, satisfy the empty space on my bar. Regardless, though, I mean, it was nice. It was a nice change of pace for me, and I have been enjoying the 10-year age stated release fairly recently, because I think it's a pretty good bourbon. I mean, could be worse, I picked up another bottle of the Jefferson's Cask Strength the other day from Liquor Barn because it was there, and I mean, why the heck not? It's a really, really good value, and it's turned into one of my more appreciated bourbons. Especially in the limited release category. If you go back and listen to my interview with Trey on the second part of the Bourbon and Beyond episodes this year, which was just a couple weeks ago, he said that it's very likely that they will continue to do cask strength releases for Jefferson's, and apparently they're doing an age-stated 8-year-old bourbon now. But that's according to filings with the TTB. But I mean, that could or could not happen. Who's to say? We'll find out before too long, I suppose. But all that being said, though, it's been a good couple of weeks of pours. So, all right, folks, we're welcoming back Rick and Ricky Johnson from 15 Stars, talking about First West, their new line of bourbons from 15 Stars, the affordable edition of 15 Stars products. Guys, it is good to see you all. How have you been?
Been doing great.
Yeah, good.
Glad to be back. Good to see you.
Good. As you can tell, I'm a man shorter this time. I don't have a co-host anymore. I'm flying solo, but it's not gonna. Doesn't matter. We're still going to be operating at full capacity.
Well, it'll be easy to steer. It'll be easy to steer the ship.
Sure, something like that. It doesn't matter. So let's dive right into it. Let's talk about the birth of the First West line, because First West was a product name that you all had for a while. But what was really the impetus that you all brought about that kind of gave you the idea to turn this into something that wasn't just another like 15 Stars product, I guess?
Yeah, maybe I'll just kick off with it, and Ricky can fill in some holes, and then but we we really First West is really leaning into where we thought we would go at the very start, right? So we've been distilling for 6 years, and we started with some unique heirloom corns, some corns like these little guys, black ones, red ones, right? And so it takes a while in bourbon, right? This doesn't happen overnight. So really, we have some of those corns for the first time, right? In this product, and so we always knew we'd be more approachably priced, and have some really unique corns in the mix. And so we're really kind of going where we thought we'd go at the start. The 15 Stars was kind of our diversion. What do we do in the meantime here, right? And so we went out and sourced some really amazing aged liquid, which we have a nice inventory of 10 to 20, 21-year-old now, I think. So 10 to 21-year-old liquid that we've been putting in 15 Stars. And while you mentioned that this is much more affordable, we really, and those ran from $139 to $279, which obviously are not everyday drinking bourbons, right? But compared with what we call our reference set, which, are those bottles that sell on the secondary market for, really big prices, we really think that in a lot of ways we offered those at a pretty good value, against what we compare against when you get into those 15, 18, 20-year-old, whiskeys. So, but yeah, this is a new venture. We've been in out in the market just weeks, and so excited to see a lot more acceptance, getting in that price range between $59 and $79, so $59, $69, $79 for each of the three products, and while still not a low price bourbon, right, but very approachable. It's kind of how we call it. It certainly is in that range where other, if you're looking for something special in craft, that's kind of right in there. So excited to be in it. So Ricky, what would you add?
I think it's a pretty good summary of why we got into First West. But yeah, the main part of that in the First West lineup that I get really excited about is the introduction of our corns, those heirloom corns that we started distilling way back in 2019. And it's like my dad said, you got to be patient, and we're semi-patient, and then finally we have the opportunity to use these corns that we have been sampling over the years and following, and know that they're aging well and tasting great. So it's great to finally incorporate those into the blends.
I think it's fair to say we're not patient at all, but we're learning to be patient, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, but the other nice thing about these is, everything we got to learn at 15 Stars, and we were lucky enough on our first release with 15 Stars to be one of three finalists for Best Bourbon of the Year at San Francisco. We've gone on to be our last release was a Best Bourbon at the Barleycorn Awards, our artisan collection, and in between those two, we've had 24 recognitions of a best of bourbon, a best of rye, a best of American whiskey, a best of, blended whiskey. So we've won 24 of those best of or finalists for best of, like that very first one. So wow, what a 3 years for us. It's been kind of amazing. And we really got to learn and explore and know blending in a way that had we started with just First West, it probably would have been the wrong place to start. So we were starting in a place where we really explored for one thing, and that's how do we get the very best flavor in that blend and bottle. And the thing that's really benefited us to come out with First West now is that we had that experience where we weren't trying to compress the price point, right? We were saying, hey, whatever it costs, it's going to cost, right? And so we can think about nothing but making the very best whiskey that we can possibly put in that bottle. And so we got to learn so much, right? And we got a really diverse inventory. And the great thing is we've been able to put that experience into these bottles. And what we really say is the only thing that we don't put in these bottles for the cost is double-digit whiskey, right? So there's no double-digit aged whiskey in these three. But what we've got in its place that gives us a new and special tool to blend to those to get some really cool flavors are those heirloom corns. And so that's really cool as those, and we've got more of those kind of coming down the pike. This is the first one, but we've got a whole raft of really cool stuff and made of those heirloom corns that we want to continue to use to blend to maximize flavor that we can put in a bottle. So it's worked out. You know how life is. It's really it's a lot of thinking and mostly luck. And we've been lucky to have gotten in the 15 Stars thing first, and then bring in 15 Stars First West second. So maybe patience pays.
I'd say so. And I mean, giving yourselves the chance to, learn what you can do with blending with somebody else's product, gives you the opportunity to be patient enough to, eventually once the time comes to learn to blend with your own. Once you get there, all bets are off. I mean, you're kind of, you're giving yourself carte blanche to do the best possible do the best you possibly can with your own distillate. But when that ball is in your court, ostensibly, I mean, do you feel any kind of different pressure? I mean, because that is, your own distillate. That's your own barreled whiskey that you've now got to show off to people.
I don't think so. And kind of the way we view it is it's another tool that we use in our blending. And so for us, having more tools to have available for different flavor profiles to bring these blends can only be an addition to what we do. And, like I said, we've been tracking these corns over their whole lifetime, and they've aged really well. We're really liking the flavors of them. So we're confident in their flavor, their ability to blend, and what we're doing with them. So it's not been too much pressure. We're just happy to have them available more so. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think of it as pressure really, but what I do think we feel, and, again, talk about luck, right? I mean, it was luck that we decided when we made our first release, it was going to be just a 15-year-old, right? Because we thought 15 Stars and 15-year-old, why wouldn't we do that, right? And then we blended the 14 and a 15 together, and we said, damn, that's better. And it's better than either of them were on their own. And so we thought, so we threw away the 15-year-old labels, right? And we won that ability on a very first release to have said, okay, we're not going to go forward with something that's not the very best we could do. And it actually, we were a finalist for Best Bourbon, which I thought was crazy when Ricky told me we were. I said, that's bullshit. There's no way, it's impossible. And but really what that did was set a course for us to say, not pressure necessarily, but it gave us the confidence to say, hey, if we just spend time with this and we take our time and we don't rush it and we do say no to something that isn't as good as we know we might be able to do, that first win was a lucky thing for us because it set us along that track that really our own distillate or not our own doesn't matter. Everything we put together, what we have in the back of our head is never put anything out, right, that we don't think has something unique and special about it and that we don't love. And so that's trailed through our own distillate. There's a little bit of pressure. And like I said, I don't call it pressure, but we've made a compact that says if we don't love it, we're not putting in the bottle, and we're not really bowing to the market pressure. We're not going to do something because everybody else does it. We're lucky enough we don't have we don't owe money to anybody, right? So we're not, we don't have anything pushing us to do anything but put great whiskey.
I would say rather than pressure, it's just a high set of standards that we've placed on ourselves.
Exactly. Yeah. Because like to me, when I say the word pressure, it's more of like an intrinsic feeling of like, we've already gone through, so many iterations of 15 stars and we've produced these products that people have, maybe an attachment to, or we've been able to attain these standards or attain these levels of recognition. So how can we still create, products that represent us in such a positive light in the same way? But, the whole point being that, you're not working with the same set of tools as far as like distillate, but you are working with the same hands or the same palates, right? I'm talking with a little bit more flowery language than might be people might, get a little bit lost in the weeds. But what I'm basically saying is you all are still the blenders and you're still going to the table with, those set of tools in hand. But it's just different distillate that you're working with, and it's your own, at this point, or at least for a couple of the products.
But honestly, if we didn't like it, what we did, we'd say,
of course,
we're not going to use it. Yeah.
And you've always said that too. Yeah.
It does help to have two of us because every once in a while, I get ready to say, hey, that's pretty good. And then Ricky go, nah. Or he'd do the same. And I say, I think we can wear it. So it really does. It even helps to have two of us because if you get ready to say, that's pretty good. Well, wait a minute. Pretty good. No.
It's got to be really good. Yeah. I still think about when we first chatted, you all doing the kitchen table blending.
We still do it.
I was about to say how much kitchen table blending went on with these three First West products.
It was a lot. Typically we have one product come out at a time, and these three all released together, so they were all getting blended around the same time. So at a few months before the release, there was quite a bit of kitchen table blending going on. It was a cool experience because, getting to it kind of differently than a single product, getting to create a lineup at once rather than a bunch of individuals. So kind of what different spaces each of those products take up and how they compare to each other. And, I think part of what I like about them is they have different flavors and they all provide something different. And so and it was kind of created in that way to give it, there's kind of something for everyone between the three of them.
Yeah.
I want to touch on too what you all have coined as flavor proofing, of course. And of course, this is a massive tool that you all use in crafting your products. And for those who don't know, it's basically the way that you all get your products to what you define as like the best proof that it can be and still maintain the best level of quality, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just curious with these new this new line. What was the flavor proofing process like, and was there anything different that happened with it in this case?
It's a different process every time,
Fair.
minorly, but no, I wouldn't say it really went any differently. It's all through trial. The idea behind it is you're trying a bunch of different blends at a bunch of different proof points so that you can find that proof point that really complements the blend you end up going with. And so for each of these, go through the process with each of the three First West products. And interestingly, they are all hanging around the same spot where the small batch 102, toasted 98, extra aged 100. So within 4 proof of each other, but that really wasn't designed that way. It turned out that way. And the proof points they ended up at were what I think are a nice blend of enough proof to create roundness of flavor and fullness, but not so much proof that it distracts you from the flavors that they have. So, yeah, it was I would say, standard process, but you're always discovering something as you go through it.
One of the cool little anecdotes, and Ricky and I have got what we call the same flavor memory, right? Which not often two people have. Drank all these of all these barrels we've distilled or sourced, right? And then all the other products on the market. But you learn mostly through, those individual things we distilled and sourced because we know exactly what they are. We know exactly how they're made, and we can play with them. But in the proofing of the toasted oak at the 98, Ricky kind of we're down to our final set, and so there's an A and a B blend, and he laid them out at 4 different proofs, 4 proof point apart, and he had picked his favorite, and then I was working that day from the office, and so I popped home, and he was gone, and he said, so it's all laying there, so I got it all out, and went through it separately, and we do it together sometimes and separately sometimes.
Right.
And so I called him up and said, okay, I got mine, and he said, okay, well, what is it? And I said, well, it's blend A, but I think it's somewhere between 96 and 100 proof, and we didn't have 98. We had a 96 and 100, and so I think it's in between there. And he said, that's interesting. That's exactly what I wrote down. So I mean, it doesn't always work that way. Occasionally we argue a little bit, we push, but I mean that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
That's quite out of impressive. 8 samples, 2 different blends, and we both choose the same blend at the same proof point that wasn't even an option.
Yeah.
That's what it ended up going as.
I mean, it shows that you all work really well together too. At the very least,
sure.
And
the proof and the blending. The other thing we really try and focus on a bunch in these, in everything we do, is that mouth feel, and that comes. And blending affects it, and proofing affects it, right? You don't want to dilute it out, right? There's a spot where it's just too light, right? It just
absolutely
it loses something. But then on the alcohol, on the high alcohol side too, you get where flavor is getting covered up a little bit by super high alcohol, and then filtering also has an effect, right? Is that It doesn't say non-chill filtered on these, but obviously they're non-chill filtered. But beyond that, um, we take the very lightest filtration. There's still a lot of filtration options that are non-chill filtered, right? And so we
Right.
don't want a piece of a barrel to be, in a bottle. We're not trying to do that. But we actually do put the lightest filtration on it that we possibly can, because that gives that just that richer mouthfeel, that thickness, that viscosity, that richness that a great bourbon should have.
I think, and I'm sipping on the toasted right now too, but
Mm.
I to that point, I mean, it really at 98 proof doesn't seem like it's got, it doesn't drink like it's missing, a mouthfeel or anything.
Yeah.
To
Yeah.
your point, and to everybody at home who might be watching or listening, this is a really solid product. And I think too that, I it's so funny because like right before I reviewed this, and this was a few weeks back, I said, oh, I mean, like openly and publicly, that I was getting burnt out with toasted products. Like
Mm.
it just is
Yeah.
kind of a product that, or a finish that has almost run its course, I think, in the bourbon world. And this one kind of brought me back from it a little bit. Like it didn't have that overly like kind of like burnt marshmallow thing that
Yeah.
was really evident with a lot of toasted products. So I'm curious just specifically about this. What was the finishing time on it? What did you all do differently with your toasted bourbon this time around?
So to your point, I know exactly the flavor you're talking about. I
Yeah.
agree. There's a lot of toasted products I try where it has that toasted profile to it that a lot of the toasted products share, where it almost can get to where it seems like there's like flavoring added, but
Yeah.
there's
Like
no,
liquid
yeah.
smoke for some
Yeah,
reason.
yeah. And so now and our goal with finishing in all of our finishes, whether it's toasted or the 15 stars products, the triple cask, three ports, whatever, is to accent the product rather than create a product that tastes like the finish. We we always start with a blend that we would just release on its own. And so if we have something that we like that much, our thought process isn't to absolutely completely alter it and change it and get away from everything good we created. It's to kind of add a little bit to it. And so for that toasted oak, well, given we're blenders, the idea there is we wanted to try some different toast profiles, because you can do a lot of different things with toasted barrels, bring out a lot of different flavors. And so we tested out a few different toasted profiles, chose two that we liked after some blending experimentation, and ended up pairing those together. So 40% of the toasted barrels the product is finished in are a more heavy toast oak forward finish. And then 60% is a more sweet forward. So caramel, butterscotch, vanilla forward toasted finish. So a little heavier on that end. And then finished for about 5 weeks, so where a lot of the finishes you hear about are for longer periods of time, those are for used barrels, where a used barrel, having already had some sort of liquid in it for a period of time, has extracted more from that barrel, so the barrel has less to give. But these being new toasted barrels can impart quite a significant amount of flavor in a very short period of time. So there is not much wiggle room to play around with when you're working with a new barrel for a secondary finish, because you can go an extra 3, 4 days and it can have gone completely too far, and or 3 days short and it's underfinished. And so there's a short window of time that you really have to get right to be able to get the flavors you want. But I think we found a spot that yielded the right amount of finish for the product.
I mean, Ricky covered it pretty well. We don't do anything easy, I guess, right? So we didn't just pick one. We went through the barrels over there at ISC and the toast profiles, and we decided, okay, there's two of them. that we love. What are we going to do? Well, okay, we say we're blenders, so let's figure it out. Can we find a blend we think's optimal? And Ricky is right, and I think that's maybe what happens with some of those. And know the things you're talking about is sometimes it gets over oaky, and it can be two things. One, it might be a bourbon that's, like Ricky said, we love what's the underlying whiskey that we got in there, so we're not trying to cover anything up, and we're not trying to take something young, right? It's 5, 6, and 7 year old already. We're not trying to take something young and make it taste older. But that toastiness that's in that barrel, we're just trying to get that nice toasty overlay. We really like the whiskeys more than the finishes, kind of what Ricky said, right? We're not trying to overfinish because we really want the whiskeys just to have that nice accent of toast. And we're pretty happy with it. We're in process. We have another group of toasted barrels sitting down there in Bardstown, going through its process. So we're doing it exactly the same way. But what we are going to play with, we're going to keep, like Ricky said, we're going to keep a watch on it because what we're trying to understand too is what's the effective time of year in that, right? So we're going to watch it like a hawk to say, hey, what's the difference? When were the other ones done? It was probably June, and so this is going to be a little cooler, and so does it need another day or two? So we'll be watching
Right.
it. It'll do something different in January than it will in July.
Sure. Oh yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk for a second too. I mean, not obviously just a second, but about the aesthetics of the First West line, because I think that first of all, it's a bold step in a different direction away from the 15 stars bottles.
Yeah.
The blue glass is very, very well highlighted in all of the press that you all have put out around First West. It was inspired, correct me if I'm wrong, by early bourbon bottles that were put out around like some of the earliest products too, right? What inspired some of that?
Yeah, the very earliest. Well, with 15 stars, and maybe we ought to talk about the brands. We didn't really do that, but right, 15 stars celebrates Kentucky as the 15th state. Second U.S. flag, 15 stars and 15 stripes, recognizing Kentucky as that state. First West, and so I guess, well, how should we go about this? Maybe, we'll just hit it. First West, First West celebrates Kentucky still as America's First West. So you've got Daniel Boone leading the settlers through the Cumberland Gap. This is our inspired version of the very first of the painting by George Caleb Bingham of Daniel Boone coming through in 1775. Leading settlers into America's First West, the first state west of the Appalachian Mountains, the first, first patch that you do. And so we've gotten into history with this a little bit. The top here is a 15 stars Kentucky token, minted in 1795, representing Kentucky as the 15th state. Shows up here on the neck as well, where it says crafted by 15 stars. It actually crafted top to bottom. So the bottom's got what's the reverse side of a George Washington success token, also minted in 1795, also with 15 stars. So it was really a part of American history. Bourbon's a part of American history. But, these guys came through there in 1775. How did you claim ground in what was then Virginia? You claimed it by settling the land. And so when you couldn't just get a title to any land, you had to settle it. What'd you have to do to settle it? You had to build a cabin and you had to grow a crop of corn. And so what'd you do with corn on the frontier? Well, distilled it. And so bourbon was born. Bourbon County came along in 1785. And so whiskey from Bourbon County is bourbon, and it's been kind of America's spirit ever since. So great history to celebrate. And so we built a collection of things that are on our website, and it's not on our website yet, but it should be, is some of these bottles that are actually the very first bottles, and this is one, made in Louisville, Kentucky, 1840, Kentucky Glass Works. So this is an authentic 1840s Louisville-made bottle that was also used for whiskey. Those was pre-brand, right? So, but people would put whiskey out of a barrel into these. So there weren't any brands at that time. And so we thought, wow, I mean, that's a pretty cool piece of Kentucky craftsmanship, right? And blowing these bottles and there's a few of these actually left and they're in places like the Metropolitan Museum of Art. And, nobody's used this bottle. I mean, it kind of blew us away that, it's still open territory. And so we thought, well, I mean, we're into the history. It's part of that, that history of craftsmanship and artisanship that has built the bourbon business as well as, just that artisanship in Kentucky, which was really, really, really strong in those days, and in bourbon still really is, right? But we didn't make it kind of like our bourbon. We didn't do this bottle exactly, right? We could have taken that and said, hey, let's just make one like that. But we said, hey, how do we get inspired by that and make something that really fits today? And so it's got all the attributes of that old bottle, but a little cleaner, sleeker, modern look, right? And kind of how we make our bourbons. We're inspired by the old craftsman that made the bourbon, but okay, we'll blend two toasted oaks or in 15 stars. We'll put this crazy corn in it, or we feel free to. We don't want to get too crazy, right? We want it to still be we're still trying to produce an outstanding bourbon, but we want to explore the edges of that, right? While we're doing it, we don't want to just make what the last guy made. So
Right.
we did it. We did that in the bottle, and we're excited about it. We'll bring out a product in a bottle that will be a slightly different bottle of this next year. That'll still be a blue bottle, and still with that same aesthetic, but it will set itself apart, and we'll bring out probably our top of the line 15 stars, something even above that will approach or go beyond 20 years, and so we're still playing. So we're not done. We're not done yet. We're exploring. That's kind of what our bourbon's for. Is for explorers, right? For those people that are exploring the boundaries of their world today. So we're trying to be that. Bottle's part of that.
I appreciate that you all just have fun with the brand. I mean, it's something that is a little refreshing, to hear. And every time I've gotten to talk to you all, it gives me hope that not just that bourbon is not dying, because I don't think it is, but there's been so much turmoil in the industry over the past year that it can be easy to get a little bit down about the way that things are going right now. So it's just good to hear from people who are, not just taking history and kind of reinvigorating the excitement for it, but also taking what you all had as part of your own, familial history and your own industry that you had built up, and kind of injecting that into the bourbon industry as well. And what excites me about the extra aged, and what really drew me to it as well, was that it seemed like it was the most sister product of 15 stars out of all of the bourbons in this line. And when I first saw it, there was a part of me that went, this felt like Rick and Ricky couldn't stop themselves from just doing like a 15 stars junior. Is there any truth to that? And if not, do you understand what I'm saying?
It could be seen from a few different lenses, but I'd say there's a little bit of truth in there. That's an interesting way to put it. I like that 15 stars junior, because it really is kind of that. the height of age statement wise of the First West lineup. And we've had some people say, I thought it was an interesting take, something I'd never noticed, that it follows kind of some of the flavor cues that you can find in some of our 15 stars releases. Follows some of the a little bit of the style. I've never thought of us having how some people have a producer style or whatever. Like from Beam products, you get whatever flavor. From Heaven Hill, you get whatever. And I mean, us as blenders, it's harder to characterize that because we're using products from a ton of different places. But what I was told is it carries a kind of citrus note that a lot of our other products here. I definitely get the citrus note. And once it was mentioned to me, I'm like, you know what? I do get citrus in a lot of our products, and I do really enjoy that note. And so, it's not surprising to me that I might end up sneaking it into a few different ones. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think you're right in that it shares a lot of similarities with some of the 15 stars products. But
Yeah,
that's what makes
maybe
it such a great value in that 15 or First West lineup.
Yeah, and it's interesting off our website anyway. It's the best seller of the group. And maybe a lot of people are just saying, "Hey, we kind of want 15 stars. Just give me that one. Let me try that one." And although, what's really interesting too is that, and this blows us away a little bit. There's so many people, again, off our website, which is where we can actually track the sales. We know in the markets we've been out there a set of weeks, which it'll take us a while to really understand, how it's doing out there. But there's a lot of people grabbing all 3 bottles.
Yeah. I think it's an easy thing to do too. They kind of look like they're meant to be sold as a 3-pack for one, or just to be, gathered all up together and,
make a damn nice Christmas gift, wouldn't it? What else is there to want?
I don't know if I'm going to do a gift list this year, but hey, that's an easy one to do.
It could work.
Yeah. I just before I sat down, I grabbed the Timeless Reserve, the 13 and 15 blend.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did because I just thought maybe I'd compare it to it just in this moment. Compare it to the extra aged, and they really do feel like they have your all's thumbprint between the two of them. I mean, there is a consistency between the blends in terms of feeling like they A, come from the same people, and B, like you all are actually building a flavor profile. The only difference really is that this gets into the double digits and the other is, sub 10 years old. But even still, I mean, it's not, for lack of, you're still going, the extra mile with what you have. And that's not even like, that sounds like a backhanded compliment, and it's really not. It's just saying, y'all are reaching those high marks with, everything that you do.
Well, appreciate that. What we really want to be sure is that, and for us and for anybody who grabs one of our bottles, is that it's the kind of bottle that you can take it for a special occasion, or even if you're just kind of hanging there by yourself, you can sit back and enjoy a moment and really, really relax and really, 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 really enjoy it. And it's those moments are, whether it's friends and family hanging together, or where it's just a little bit where, you keep the world at bay for a little bit, both of those are pretty darn good, aren't they?
I have no complaints. Yeah, I have absolutely no complaints. But guys, I'm going to go ahead and let you go here in just a moment. But I just want to say thank you for sitting down with me for a little bit and talking about the First West line. I highly recommend that people go and check it out. I know I've asked you all this before, but where can people find out more about 15 Stars and First West?
Yeah, so our website, 15stars.com, is a great place to start. Probably has the most information in one place, as you would expect. If you're a social media person, our Facebook and Instagram are good places to keep up with what we're doing. And also, we have a newsletter that we send out, and you can sign up for that on our website. I think it's at the bottom of any page, but there's also a newsletter link in the header. And I write the newsletter, so it's
Nice.
I try to keep it to important things, won't flood your inbox or whatever. But yeah, those are the best places to keep track of what we're doing.
There you go. And you can also listen to
Yeah.
the first interview that I did with Rick and Ricky, and Eric was along for it too, but
Yep.
he's not here anymore.
No, we really
I mean,
appreciate.
he's alive, but he's just not here anymore.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I appreciate the opportunity to join again. Really
Of course.
enjoy it, and look forward to sharing some new things down the road.
Yeah, I look forward to it as well. Thank you guys as always. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Take care.
Cheers.
Cheers.
We are now going to move into a segment of the show known as Barrel Rings that you, as a listener or viewer of the show, can be a part of by calling in and leaving a voicemail or sending a text to 859-428-8253. Once again, that's 859-428-8253 if you're watching the video version of the podcast. It's right here on your screen. It is, if you want to talk about anything, something that's happened on the show, if you have a question about something that I've talked about, or just anything that's been going on, or just a random, just anything, man. Just leave me a voicemail or text me. I don't care. I'm here for you. If you want therapy, if you need something from me, the number is open. The line is open. I am here for you. Please, just know it's my pleasure. Anyway, this guy's Eric Smith. I don't know. Anyway, he left a really, really long voicemail. Let's see what he had to say.
Oh my God. That's what I sound like on that thing. Hey babe, how's it going? I just wanted to call in, say miss you all, and that I have to make a formal apology to a lot of our listeners. Well, in the past, I guess, for my actions. I know there was a huge album drop recently. And the last time this happened, I went pretty hard on it. I wasn't a fan. I thought it was funny. I thought some of our diehard Swifties were going to murder me, but I'm taking my time now to apologize. Taylor made me a believer. I mean, I 100% am all in on the lyrical genius of our generation. And that's coming from somebody who, their favorite song is about Nookie and cookies, and, I love Weird Al. And for me to say that, it's a huge deal. So, I think one of the lyrics I read was like, my man's pee-pee is really big. He plays with balls made of pig or something. I mean, it's changed me. It's really made me eat my words from a couple of years ago, and I'm getting choked up a little bit because, of how bad I made some of our friends feel for how they felt. So I'm just taking this time to say I'm with you. There's no shame in screaming those lyrics to the top of your lungs in your car, with your grandma, So, I just wanted to say sorry to all those Taylor Swift fans because I've been changed. I mean, genius, just genius. Also, your 60-day trial of non-commission fees for the use of my voice in jingles is up. So can't wait to get that check. Love you, sweetie.
Why'd you call? Why did... All right, fine. Now, not to piggyback too hard off of what the Whiskey Mutant said there, but this new Taylor Swift album, The Life of a Showgirl, and we're just gonna hop into high proof hot takes real quick here. It ain't good. I really don't think it's good. And here is the genuine criticism from somebody who is a musician and has listened to her music for a long time, of course, and probably, been colored in the wrong light because I publicly, at least on this show, I got caught up in just being like, I don't know. But at no point have I ever tried to be like, misogynistic about her because I just don't like her music, or at least her recent offerings. This album feels like it is trying too hard in many ways, and is also insistent upon itself. I don't understand the theme of the life of a showgirl while also not being showgirly or burlesque-y, while still marketing the whole campaign around burlesque and a showgirl as if she were actually performing in Las Vegas. And the most attention that she has gotten from this album has been not controversy, but criticism over some of the lyrics that feel like it is written for people who are going, oh, I can't believe that she said this, or it's crazy that she's swearing now. And on that point of swearing, it's like, I have never felt like when Taylor Swift says a swear word, it is genuine or earned. It's always felt like she's, doing it because she has to, or because she is expected to, or, I heard, was it Caroline Kwan say that it was like a Mormon swearing for the first time, and that really kind of hit home for me. And there are aspects of this album that I've enjoyed. Like I think the instrumentation is great. I think the production is really good. Like I was actually able to dance along to some of the songs, and that even sounds like I'm being sardonic about it, and I'm not trying to be. I'm just like giving my honest opinion about it. I really do mean, like, there were a couple songs where I was like, I vibe with this. Like, this is a kind of a bop, as the kids say. But it's not. It's for me, like one of her lower tiered albums. and it in particular seems to just rely on like you being heavily online and being able to reference meme culture and being able to understand what it means to be canceled or her state of being canceled. And like, I've been canceled in the bourbon sphere before, the bourbon content creator sphere before. But I don't create music, I guess, around it, but or ask anybody to, give me sympathy about it. Like, I moved on afterwards. And this album just felt so, I guess like the best way to put it is like insistent upon itself, that if you don't get it, then you weren't able to survive within the culture or whatever. It's just, it's too much and not enough at the same time. It was a very tough listen. And I gave it a as I was talking about it with my wife, I said it's a very low and soft 4 out of 10. Not great. Not a great album. There's a lot more things that I would rather listen to. So, high proof hot takes. Not the best Taylor Swift album out there, unfortunately. But tips and bits, though, stuff that I have been watching, reading, listening to, playing, enjoying, that I would recommend that you also check out, just because I think it would help you, have a good time, I guess. Tonight, as we do for the spooky season, we we watched for the first time the Muppets Haunted Mansion, which is on Disney Plus. And I'm not saying, sign up for Disney Plus just for this, because I mean, it's really fun. I love the Muppets. They're one of my favorite cultural touchstones out there. They're funny. They're referential. They're just wonderful. But it's great. It's just a really fun, like, what is it? Almost an hour watch. I think it was like 55 minutes watch for people. It's just something fun. I mean, if you're looking for a light, a breezy, somewhat spooky, but also not, gonna make the kids feel like they're too scared, I guess. Kind of film, movie, whatever. Muppets Haunted Mansion. It's really a fun watch. And then I have been getting back into reading or listening to books. I just picked back up a book that I had started a while ago and had not gotten around to finishing, but I actually wound up really, really enjoying towards the back half of it. It started a little bit slow, but this sounds like I'm encouraging you to watch The Office or Parks and Rec. But I really do think that if you are no, I just recommend it. The book is called Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. It's nerdy, it's sweet, it is insistent, but I do think that and I know that they are making like a movie or something somewhat soon. Maybe a series. I'm not entirely sure, but I think it's a good novel to have in your back pocket. I just started a book that I've been trying to get into, but it back when I first started it, I couldn't grasp it, and I needed the time to wrap my head around it, and it's called The Chestnut Man. I'll talk about it again after I've finished it, but it's been a really interesting and dark read for the spooky season here. But that does it for episode 401 of the podcast. If you want to support the show, head to patreon.com/mybourbonpodcast for as little as $1 a month, but you can get bonus content from the $5 and up tier. We got a new free member who just joined. Laurel Hruvy joined as a free member. That's not who I was trying to thank the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, I was trying to thank William Hines because they joined as a paid member of the podcast at the end of the episode after you join as a Patreon subscriber. You get a thank you, of course. I'm trying to work it out to where I can actually, put your thank yous, whatever I'm trying to say, at the end of episodes, for people from the $5 and up tier as well. But you can also follow the show. If you listen to earlier episodes of the podcast, you understand that you get bonus content too for supporting the show. But you can also follow the show on all social media at My Bourbon Pod. You can find all of our apparel and merchandise at bourbonshop.threadless.com. You can send questions or comments to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com. You can leave us a 5-star rating and review on your podcast app of choice. Read all those reviews on the podcast itself. The Apple app is quitting on me. I was trying to see if we had any new reviews, and we in fact do not, which is fine. The two people who left 5-star reviews, you have not reached out yet, and I was gonna send you, samples, but that window's still open, I guess. We also have a P.O. box if you want to send samples or bottles or mail of any kind. That P.O. box is 22609 Lexington, Kentucky 40522. It's open for now. I don't know how long it's going to be open. We'll find out together. But I believe that does it. I love you all so much. Thank you for all of your continued support. I will see you next week. Until then, though, I am Perry, and this is my Bourbon Podcast.